Hello, sweet little noodles. My name is Brittany. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're gonna be reading some Christmas romances.
It's Brittany, bitch.
Now, for this reading vlog, we're gonna have 3 different Christmas romances. 2 of them are library books, and 1 of them I decided to buy at Costco. So I hope that one's good. Now, I briefly talked about these 3 books in my end of the year TBR video. We have Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison, The Certainty of Chance by Jacqueline Middleton, and Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. I'm gonna go ahead and start on Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison because I do have the audiobook for this. And because it's the only audiobook I currently have for any of my books till the end of the year, I'm gonna go ahead and give that one a shot. Lovelight Farms is all about our main character Stella trying to save her Christmas tree farm, and her way of doing that is by entering a contest by a social media influencer that's going to offer $100,000 if you end up winning the contest, and she's also going to get the publicity from that as well to help stimulate the finances on her farm. There's also a couple of odd things going around the farm, like her pumpkins were destroyed, her entire south pasture of pine trees was ruined. We don't know what's going on, but we know there's some level of vandalism happening. And the big plot of this is she has to fake date her best friend Luca of 10 years in order to meet the stipulations of her entry, where she lied and said that she owned the Christmas tree farm with her longtime boyfriend. That, to my knowledge, is the plot of this. And this is a very well-loved book online, so I do hope it lives up to the hype, because I'm really looking forward to some Christmas romances. I'm really feeling it this season. I'm not doing as many reading vlogs as I have in the past. This is going to be the only Christmas reading vlog you're going to get, because last year I burnt myself out doing wintry or Christmas books for literally 3 months, and I just can't do that to myself again. So as soon as I get 50% into this bad boy, I'll let y'all know how that's going. But I want you guys to notice my beautiful Christmas earrings, because you cannot see them from afar in this video, but I decided to go on Amazon and buy myself a couple of Huggies Christmas earrings. And the problem with Huggy earrings is you literally can't see them from afar because they're always much too tiny, and they're much tinier than you expect. But I'm going to point out that I was very festive for this. All right, now I'm gonna get into this book. So I finally got to the 50% mark, and I realized I don't like this author's writing style at all. It's definitely a shame because there are other books in this series, but I'm not sure if I will continue. Even if I do end up liking this book, I like the plot, I like the characters, I'm just not a fan of the writing style. I realized that because I was listening to the audiobook last night and I was like, I'm not loving it. Let me try out the book and see if I need to finish this out physically instead. And I read 2 pages and regretted it. So it's the audiobook for me. I think some authors for me are just instant audiobook authors. I don't like reading their writing. I have to listen to it. So she just may be that author for me. But so far, not much has happened at the 50% mark. We finally have Stella and Luca admit that they do have feelings for one another, which is nice. They've kind of done some rough petting and some sleeping over at each other's houses. And I like that. I like that it's not taking the entire novel to realize that they like each other, because that's such a pet peeve of mine for romance tropes, because it's just annoying that you're that dumb for that long. It's already been 10 years, so now that you guys are fake dating and you've already kissed, you guys should have figured out the chemistry. And they did, which is nice. And other than the romance, there's not really a whole lot going on in this. I feel like it's definitely a character-driven novel, which I'm sure it's great for some other readers, but I definitely like a little bit more plot. The main plot of this really is that Stella entered into a contest online with a very famous celebrity, Instagram-y type of person who is going to potentially give her $100,000 if she wins the contest. So she lies and says that she's a boyfriend, and this Christmas tree farm she owns is a romantic destination. That's the reason why her and Luca have to fake date. And the entire small town does think they are dating, including his mother, which is quite funny. And his mom is quite the character. She is Italian American, and she's probably one of the best characters I've read in this book so far. Both of our main characters have some emotional issues. Luca lost his dad, Stella lost her mom. They're both emotional subplots, so I am enjoying that. I think it's really just the writing for me I'm having a hard time connecting to. It's very easy for me to enjoy a chapter, and then the next chapter I'm disassociating. I'm out.
I hate it. I'm out. Wow.
So we're gonna see, but so far it's not super memorable, but I did enjoy a Thanksgiving meal scene where her father, who is her biological father, who left her mom and never really raised her, he is blackout drunk and just falls face forward onto the Thanksgiving table. That was the best scene I've read in a while, where it actually made me giggle because it was such a funny picture, thinking that they ate an entire dinner almost in silence while this man was just face down on the table. And he's well known for being really stuffy, and he's kind of a lawyer type, very corporate. He doesn't ever let people see him undone. So him being rip-roaring drunk is just not normal. And I think that's what made it even funnier. And something else that I'm really looking forward to is there is a little subplot of somebody trying to sabotage her Christmas tree farm. Now, she can't really pinpoint what exactly has been going on, like things were going missing, things were being changed, but now at this point, like I'm literally right here right now, is that there is someone who's sabotaging the Christmas tree farm by wearing a mask, and they literally took a rake to her camera and they went into the barn. And that's where I left off. So anyway, I'll update you guys when I finally finish this book, and hopefully it finishes well, and hopefully I can get used to the writing a little bit more, because I'm still struggling with the writing style, but unfortunately you just can't help what you like or you don't like.
Cold nips at your toes, wrap up in winter clothes.
So I finally finished Lovelight Farms, and the more I think about this book, the more I lower the rating. Again, the writing is not for me, and I did end up figuring out why, and that is because she writes these huge inner monologues and then barely has any dialogue to go along with it, and it is extremely frustrating to read that over and over, because the first like 60 to 70% of this book is like literally just inner monologue from Stella. That's it. The only bit of plot that I talked about was that Thanksgiving meal, and none of those characters were ever mentioned again. It's like they don't even exist. This book was incredibly clunky, and I don't know if this book just needed more edits or if that's just her writing style, but I was really not a fan of the writing the entire time. And added to that is the fact that there was basically no plot until the very end, and then we finally got into the book. I finally got interested, because the rest of it was just repetition. I cannot tell you how many times she said "my bright blue eyes" and how many times she talked about how she felt whenever Luca touched her, which was like every fucking other page, and how she would describe the feeling of him touching her and how it made her feel. The amount of inner monologue was just suffocating. Especially because this is first person. We never really get to see Luca's perspective until the epilogue, so it's really not helpful here. The social media influencer comes in at the very end, and if we had that a lot earlier, I think this book would have had a lot higher of a rating for me. Because right now, we're looking at a nice 3 stars. I am lovingly giving this 3 stars because I really like the premise, I like some of the other characters, I like the supporting staff we got going on, I like the overall premise. The execution just did not work for me. On top of the writing I just didn't connect with was the friends to lovers theme, which I am already not a big fan of that trope. I don't think I've ever really truly enjoyed a friends to lovers book. It's just not really my thing. And this is a perfect example of that, because Stella and Luca felt like a couple from very early on. I mean, they like don't even have conversations, but yet they're like touching and cuddling. Like that is just not normal like friend behavior, especially when there's like obvious sexual tension between them. It was not believable that they were like just friends for 10 years. I wish they would have like hooked up or something beforehand and then it just was never talked about again, because that would make a little bit more sense, especially because it was brought up in here a couple of times. They both had dated other people in that 10 years, and those were completely dropped. Like we never heard anything about those other people that they dated, how it was important. It just never ended up seeming to matter, and that's why this book just felt very like unbelievable. Like there's a lot of like backstories and stuff that were not fleshed out. Overall, it's a 3 from me, and I definitely would continue on in the series just because the next one is between Evelyn and Beckett is like the right-hand man on the farm, and I really enjoyed this hunky cat dad of a dude. So I'll bite. I'm going to go ahead and read the second one, which is called In the Weeds, I think. And I'm excited to read that one. Again, I'm going to read it on audio. I just feel like these books need to be on audio for me, because reading it physically was definitely not going to work out. Especially if her writing does not change with the next book, which it probably won't. It could just also be her style. So I'm going to get into The Certainty of Chance whenever I have a chance, because I do have another book before this that I need to get to that is a physical book. So this one will take a back seat probably until next week. And then I will pop in around the 50% mark, or maybe earlier depending on what's going on. Y'all know how I'm feeling.
Scarves and sweaters bundled up in cotton, knowing names that wouldn't be forgotten, laughing over our own sense of humor underneath the Christmas lights that glow. I'm glad I got to know you better.
So I have some bad news for you guys, and that is that I am not finishing this reading vlog. This has happened many times before, and then I end up just not publishing anything. I will just scrap all my video clips, but I'm not doing it again. I'm not gonna do this to myself. I have 2 books left to read, and I didn't read them. They're gonna get put off till whenever the fuck I feel like reading them. Number 1, I need to realize that I am probably not a Christmas romance girly. I don't really know if they're for me. After I read 1 or 2 of them, I'm pretty much done for this season, and I just really didn't have the time. I'm tired of forcing myself to read books that I don't want to read. And you know what? Instead of scrapping the whole fucking video, I'm just gonna put in this clip and I say that I failed. Period. I'm gonna return this bad boy to the library, and I own Wreck the Halls, so I'm just gonna have to wait for this till I feel like it. It could be, I don't know, fucking March. It doesn't really matter. But like, the fact is, I don't want to finish these books, and I was pressuring myself to somehow fit them into the end of the year, even though literally the end of the year is tomorrow. Like, there's just no way it's gonna fucking happen, and I'm tired of forcing myself to do that shit. I already have a couple other books I'm reading, and I'm trying to finish out those reading vlogs, and I'm not even sure if that's gonna happen. But especially for books that I'm just not really feeling the vibe. I don't feel like reading Christmas romance right now. It's not happening. Number one, Christmas is over. Number two, I stopped feeling the Christmas spirit after I read Love Light Farms. Like, I was really into it in the first few weeks of November, and then after that, it just didn't even feel like Christmas anymore. Like, it's one of those years where Christmas does not feel like Christmas. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. And I feel like a lot of us this year have had that exact same thing, and I don't really know why that is as a collective, but like, these are not gonna get read this year. Period. So I'm very sorry if you feel lied to. I'm very sorry if you were expecting my thoughts on all of these books. I'm not saying it's never going to happen for the other two books that I did not read, but it's not the season for me. It's not the time. Again, I'm so sorry if you guys really want to see my thoughts and feelings on the rest of these books, but it just didn't happen, and I had to be okay with that, and hopefully you're okay with that. Be kind to me, be kind to yourself. Have a great Happy New Year. Love y'all.